Hello, modern drummer. I'm David Frangioni, and we are here today backstage with a very, very special guest, Eloy Casagrande. Eloy.
Hello, David. How are you?
Good to see you.
Oh, thank you guys for coming to the show.
Well,
Yes.
I'm excited to welcome you to the podcast, and I think by now everyone knows, and they can certainly tell in this podcast, you're with Slipknot now, so there's a lot to catch up on. This is really exciting, and it's another first because I don't think I've ever done a podcast with somebody wearing a really cool, interesting mask and a bullet hole in the whole 9 yards. So this is cool, man. This is good to see you.
Thank you for coming here and for asking me to do the podcast with you. It's my pleasure. And yes, that's going to be new for you, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I know you, so with the whole persona now, it's really cool. Congratulations on getting the gig. Congratulations. I actually have a lot of things to congratulate you for today, so we'll get that out of the way first, and let's get into your history. So the first congratulatory message I have is that you won the Reader's Poll again, Best Metal Drummer 2024. Overwhelmingly, you were voted by the world of drumming. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's an honor to make part of the Modern Drummer magazine and to once again to be nominated. So it's my pleasure, always.
Well, congrats. And I remember handing you your Best Metal Drummer Award a few years ago at the Drum Museum, the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So when you were with Sepultura, and now we fast forward. And there's another thing that I wanted to congratulate you for. I don't believe it's ever been done before. I've been told it hasn't. I haven't personally double-checked this statistic, but I've been told that no drummer's ever been on the cover 2 issues in a row. And so you're on the cover in the December 24 for winning the Reader's Poll with the collage of drummers, and you're the featured cover story of January 25, which puts you on the cover 2 issues in a row. So it's another first. So congratulations, man. The hard work.
Yes, that's a lot of congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well deserved. So the community loves your drumming. We love your drumming. And let's go back to the beginning. Interestingly, Modern Drummer has a pretty significant role in your life and career, because it was in 2005 that you came to the Modern Drummer Festival and at 14 years old performed. And really, I've seen the videos. I was not at the festival, but I've watched a video, and you're playing at 14 years old is beyond its age. So let's build up to that. Let's get to that 2005 milestone. You're from Brazil, born and raised in Brazil. What were the origins of your drumming? When did it start?
Wow. Yes, for sure. The Modern Drummer Festival in 2005, that changed my life forever. That was when I really decided, okay, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to be a musician. There is any other way it's going to happen. I'm going to be a musician. So that changed the whole thing for me. And I'm very glad, and I'm very honored to be able to have that experience in my life. That was a very special moment that I'm going to take with me forever. And yes, I was born in São Paulo. I grew up in São Paulo. So that's my hometown. And I started playing the drums because of the Brazilian music. My mom, she used it to play the piano and the violin, but she quit. She never kept playing, because it's very difficult to be a musician, like every place in the world, but especially in Brazil and South America, that's a very, very difficult country to become a musician. So she gave up. And I'm the funny thing is that when I was a kid, I was not listening to any kind of band or musician or any drummer. I just saw the instrument in a drum store, and I was fascinated by the instrument itself. So I asked my parents if I could go inside the store and play the drums.
How old were you at this point?
I was 7. 7 years old. So I was asking them every day, I want to play the drums. I want to play the drums because I was fascinated by it. So then finally they gave me a drum kit toy. It was very weak, like a small drum kit. And that's how I had my first contact with the instrument. Just playing the
Did they let you play at the store? Did
Yes.
they bring you inside?
Yes.
So it started there,
inside.
then they bought you the toy kit.
Yes.
So now you're 7 years old.
Exactly.
Starting to play.
Exactly. And also we use it to go to the church. My family is very religious, they were very religious. So there was like also a band playing the church. And by the end of the cult, I would ask the drummer if I could go and sit on the drums and play. Yeah, that was my first contact with the instrument.
Did he let you play?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
nice.
That was a very
that's
nice guy.
Inspirational.
Yes, that was very nice. A very nice guy.
Thank you for watching and supporting everything Modern Drummer is up to. Hit the subscribe button down below. It means so much to us because we keep bringing you the best drummers and content all the time. And please check out our shop. We've got Legends books. We've got back issues. We've got swag. Everything the drumming community could want. And it's so exciting to have you guys be the best part of it. Once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of the video.
And then 7, 8, I was just playing by myself, just having fun in the instrument. It's how it's supposed to be with a kid, you know, such a young kid. It's like, you cannot like obligate the kid to practice or to stud.
Right.
And my parents did just like left me to just have fun and to discover myself in the instrument. But at the age of 9, then I started to have classes. And there was a Brazilian teacher, very good drummer, but he just played Brazilian stuff, Brazilian rhythms.
Bossa Nova and like traditional Brazilian.
Yes, like samba, bossa nova, baião. He was a specialist into Brazilian rhythms. And I studied with this guy from 9 years old until I was 12, 13 years old. And then I changed it. I found another teacher who was also a very good Brazilian drummer. His name is Laudo Lelis. My first teacher, his name is Lenilson Silva. My second was Laudo Lelis. And the third one was Achilles Priester.
Right.
Yes, when like everything changed for me.
How did you find Achilles?
Some friends of mine, I had like a lot of musician friends in my school. You know, I was like some friends in my neighborhood. And they were like telling me about Achilles. But at that age, I never listened to metal or to rock music before. They were like telling about Achilles. Oh, you need to listen to Achilles playing his band. He used it to play for Angra. That was his old band. And Achilles was doing a drum clinic in São Paulo. So that's how I was able to go there and see him playing for the first time. I remember that I was very close from the drum kit. And that thing that day changed everything for me. Because until there, I never saw a metal drummer playing in front of me. So it blew my mind, you know, because there's a lot of volume, powerful speed, groove, all at the same time. So then I decided that I wanted to play metal music, rock music. And then I started having classes with him.
You approached him because he wasn't giving a lot of lessons back then, was he?
Yeah, kind of. Just like one day in the week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had like 7 or 8 students.
Oh, I see.
He had like just like some spots for students. Mm-hmm. And my mom, I was very young. I was just 13 years old. Mm-hmm. My mom asked him like if I could be one of his students. And he said, okay, come to my place, to my studio, so I can see you playing and we can figure it out how it's going to be. And I went there and he saw me playing and then he decided to give classes to me.
And that was the beginning of the metal journey.
Exactly.
It's never stopped. So you start studying with him, and then how does that lead into what I believe is your first big career break, which was the Modern Drummer Festival?
Yes.
Right. So how does that evolve to the festival?
So I was having classes with him. He was a very good teacher, like very awesome teacher. You know, he was like teaching me the good stuff. So we were like every day talking about music. He was showing me new music every day, new albums every day. And he was like just showing everything, not only the double bass drumming, because some people think that the only thing that I learned with Achilles was the double bass drumming. But he was like a general teacher. You know, he was teaching me all the important things about drums.
Had you played double bass before Achilles?
No.
Oh, so he was your first teacher and first real exposure into getting into double bass.
Exactly.
But as you're sharing, and a lot of other things, he really went into all aspects of music with you.
Exactly.
Not just drumming, not just hands and feet, but actual like exposing you and helping you discover new influences in music.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's one thing that's going to be on the interview on the magazine.
Right.
Yeah. I remember that I wanted to learn like how to play fast. I wanted to develop my speed, especially on the double bass drumming on my hands. I just wanted to play like him. So that was something that he was always taking care of. To don't make me play like him. He wanted me to be like a different musician, to be a different drummer.
Which is an advanced class for a 13-year-old.
Oh yes, but I was like studying a lot, practicing a lot. That was what I wanted to do for my living, you know. So I was taking it very seriously since the beginning, and he saw that on me. That every class I was just like evolving, developing, and he was just giving me a lot of material to practice and to study. And I remember that I wanted to play like a Rush song. It was a Rush song where it was like one of his songs that he was playing with his previous band, with Angra. And he was like, no, let's go back. And he asked me to play a Journey song, Ask the Lonely. Okay. You know, it has like a straight groove, a straight beat. It's like, oh, come on, Achilles, it's pretty easy. You know, I know how to play like the boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. What I'm going to do like for the whole week just practicing that song. He's like, no, I want to see you playing that. So I had 1 week to practice the song at my house, at my home. And then I came back to the next class and I played the song for him. And he was like, no, it's not good. Play it again. I play it again. It's like, no, you're not grooving. Like, what do you mean like I'm not grooving? I'm playing all the notes there, like in the perfect spot. I'm playing all the notes like as the original recording. What is wrong? It's not grooving. It's not sounding good. You're thinking too much, or you're thinking about the technique. You're thinking about your hands. So just stop thinking and play with the music, play with the song. Mm-hmm. And then he was like the responsible one to tell me what is about groove, what is about music, how to flow with the music, how to flow with a song when you're playing, you know? So
and listening from the perspective of a musician who plays the drums, as opposed to how we all grow up as drummers, is we think drumistically.
Exactly.
And so he was really giving you the 360 view of, look, think about it as from everybody else but the drummer, which is how does it groove? How does it make the song feel? How does it fit? And how does the audience hear it?
Exactly. And that changed the whole thing for me, because I started to listen to music in a different perspective. I was not listening like a drummer anymore, or sometimes like a drummer, but really paying attention to the small details, to the intention of the drummer, instead of just paying attention to the notes, you know?
Right. That's a huge evolution. And so then how does the time with Achilles lead to what was the stepping stone to the Modern Drummer Festival? Because
yes.
there really weren't a lot of up and coming drummers or unknown drummers even who would play the festival. It was like superstars of drumming kind of festival. And so that moment is significant.
Yes. Everything happened when I was 13 years old, and I participated in a national contest of drummers. The name is Batuca Festival. It was organized by Vera Figueiredo, a very well-known drummer in Brazil. And I won the contest. And there was one drummer in there who played in that year. His name is Gustavo Melli. He's an Argentinian drummer. And he came to me and said, oh, you know that Modern Drummer, they have like also contests for undiscovered drummers, and you can participate on that one. It's like, okay, I never heard about it. So it's like, okay. So he told me that I had to buy the magazines and wait for the contest instructions. So I could send my material to the magazine. And that's what I did. So like every month I was just looking for the international magazine that was very difficult to find back there in Brazil. Yeah. There was just one magazine store that they used it to bring international like newspaper magazines. So I went there, and 1 month I saw it, the instructions. So I recorded the video, and Achilles, he helped me to build the solo for the contest. It was just a 2-minute drum solo that I had to record without like any music, just drums. And he helped me to build like a strong solo that we believed that it was a good one for the purpose. And that's how it happened. A few months later, I got an email from the Modern Drummer saying that I was the winner.
Amazing. Now that video, going back to that time period, would that be VHS?
Yes,
recording on?
VHS. Yes.
Okay, so this is the audio and just whatever gets on the VHS. There's no technology really at the time.
Yes, exactly.
And so you send it to Modern Drummer. You get notified that you won the contest and you're going to appear at the festival.
Exactly.
And the nerves of a 14-year-old drummer, never mind you're in a new country and you're on a big stage, you had to be so nervous. How did you handle that? Do you remember the time leading up to the festival and going there? And like, what are your memories of that experience?
Wow. The memories, I remember that I was practicing every day, like crazy. Like,
how much notice did you have between the note that you were going and actually going there? How long did you have to practice?
Maybe like 1 month.
Okay.
Like
that's relatively short.
That's good. Yeah. And they gave me like a 5-minute drum solo at the day, was the opening act of the festival.
Oh, okay.
So we had like to build again another drum solo that would make sense to present at the Modern Drummer Festival, you know? And we decided to create that solo even before I go there and play, because we could leave some space for like improvisation, you know? But imagine like a 14-year-old like kid just going on a big stage with the biggest names of drums in front of me.
Right.
I could just have like a blank space, you know,
of
blank,
course.
and just like don't know what to play. So that's the reason why we did all the solo before, and I was ready to go and perform that act. You know,
and I've seen the solo. I've watched it multiple times. It's a great solo. Anybody who hasn't seen it, guys, check it out. It's a great drum solo for anyone of any age. It's just a great drum solo. It's not relevant that it's 14 or 10 or 50. It's relevant that it's an amazing drum solo. But the fact that you were 14 and you opened the show, that's the scariest part of any show.
Oh, yes.
You know, we all know that as drummers and musicians. The scariest thing is the first. The good news is you kind of get it out of the way. But the scariest part is that you're first.
Oh, yes. So actually, I prefer to play at first.
Yeah, just get it done.
Yes, yeah. Like imagine playing after all those drummers. Yeah. That would be a nightmare. So always when we're like, I'm playing at festivals, drummer festivals, can I be the first one? So like
And how did you feel about your solo that day?
I didn't like it. I think I never like what I play. You know, I'm very perfectionist. And I really practice a lot at home. So when things, they don't go the way that I'm looking for, I want to, I just get mad. You know, I didn't like it. And that solo,
you thought there were things.
Yes, I did some mistakes.
That weren't what you planned.
Yes, every time I watch it, I just see the mistakes. You know, that's a problem that I have with my personality. But I didn't like that day. I didn't like the solo, but I think that people like, so.
The response was great.
Yes, so I'm lucky enough that people like it. You know,
do you remember who else was there that day? Or like what some of the drummers that
were playing? Jason Bittner, he just played after me. Okay. There was Keith Carlock.
Oh, great.
There was the night that Chad Smith was playing with Iron Pace.
Oh, wow.
Yes, okay. They did like a duo playing together. And
so it's an iconic bill.
Oh, yes.
And what happens from that festival? Because that's a turning point.
Yes, it is.
What happens in your career? You perform the solo, festival's done, or maybe even during the festival while other drummers are playing. Like what's happening with you that begins the next chapter?
The first thing is that I got some sponsors at the festival. The brands that I used on that day, they came to talk to me. I think I played on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. Sunday was the second day of the festival. Okay. All the brands, they came to talk to me. And they offer me a sponsorship. So the same brands that I'm still using since then, you know, like Evans, ProMark, and Paiste.
And Tama?
No, Tama came later.
But yes. Evans, ProMark, and Paiste that day.
That day.
Awesome.
So now it's going to make 20 years since the Modern Drummer show. And also I was invited to play some drum clinics, you know, because like I became kind of famous into the drumming world. Mm-hmm. Because like the Modern Drummer DVD, the VHS was very important, like to all the musicians in the world. You know, that was like the biggest source of information that we used to have back there. Yeah. No YouTube, no like internet. Like that was the beginning of the internet. Right. You know, the first video of YouTube, it was uploaded on 2005 or 2006. You know, so I did a U.S. drum clinic tour, and I did a lot of drum clinics in Brazil as well, in South America.
At 14, 15 years
14,
old now.
15 years old, exactly. And then at 16, I was playing a Brazilian TV program. That was something that I was doing since I was 13 years old. My parents, I'm going to tell you that story, it's going to be very quickly, but my parents, they built like a small drum kit, like those miniatures. It's like a small drum kit, but with the electronic pads, with the sensors, and the triggers. So it sounded like a real drums. It was plugged into like a speaker, but I was playing like in a small drum kit. So since I was 13 years old, I was invited by the Brazilian television programs to go there and perform with that mini drum kit. And they invited me to go and to play the real drums because I was nominated, I won the contest from the Modern Drummer. So they wanted to see the Brazilian drummer who traveled to the U.S. and to perform.
Story.
There was a story, exactly. So they called me to play at the TV program, and that's how I got my first professional gig. There was a metal singer in Brazil. His name is André Matos. He was the former singer of the band Angra, the band that Achilles used to play, and he invited me to do an audition for the band. And I got the gig when I was 16 years old.
Amazing. And now you're still in high school.
Yes.
So do you leave school at that point?
No.
No, you did it while you were in school. You found a way to do both.
Exactly.
Because even the clinic touring is really hard at that age. It sounds like your parents were very supportive.
Oh, yes, they were.
Right? Because you need to have some kind of support when you're not before we're adults. Someone has to give us support.
Exactly.
In order to get around and travel and do clinics and all these things you're doing as an underage person.
Yes, I had a very good support of my parents. They really respect music. They respect art. So since the beginning, they were like amazing to me.
Whatever you needed, they were there to facilitate the adult component of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is huge.
Exactly.
So you get the gig. Again, it's at 16 and it's very full circle because it's Achilles' singer from his previous band.
Actually, they didn't play together because when Achilles joined Angra, he already left the band before.
Okay.
But
connected to the same band.
Exactly.
And then how was that gig? Because now you're touring around Brazil. Now you're playing actively, and it's a band.
Yes.
Right. So it's your first foray into what is it like to tour and be part of a band and make records and rehearse and all of these things that as drummers, especially as young people, these are all new experiences and they all require a new skill set that's not specifically just drumming.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I remember that we did some shows in Brazil and then we had a Japanese tour. Not a tour, we're just like 2 shows, a couple of shows in Japan. And then we also had an European tour of 30 shows. And everything changed for me because I didn't know how to work during a tour when you have like one show after another.
Right.
And everything was new to me, And I remember that the first show that I did with the band, it was in a small city in the state of São Paulo in Brazil. And the show was terrible because I didn't know how to manage my energy during the set. So at the first songs of the show, I just spent all that I had, all my technique, all my power, all was gone. And I remember that I was almost dying to finish the set. I wasn't able to play it properly. So then I learned how to manage my adrenaline, my energy, and how to sound good during the show, like the whole show, to keep the consistency of the metal playing. Yes.
It was a new skill to learn.
Exactly.
And the best way to learn it is experientially, to actually do it and see what works and what doesn't work, because how else would you figure it out? I mean, it's hard to do it that way because then the show doesn't go well, but that is what sets up the feedback you needed for yourself to say, what's the right way?
Exactly.
Because I don't know a better way to learn it other than doing it.
Yes, sometimes you have to go through the fire, you have no option.
Right.
Yes, well, everything was new to me, especially like traveling when you go on a tour of 30 days. Nobody like I remember back there, 2006, 2007, we didn't have like a lot of information. If nowadays you go on the internet, let me find a tutorial how to go on tour.
Right.
I'm sure that like any band, some band did that before.
Right.
It's on the internet right now.
Right.
But back there, we didn't have like any information.
Right.
So I didn't know how to keep my body healthy, what I was supposed to eat or not. Just like what I'm gonna do.
And practice routines.
Exactly.
Right? Because you have so much time that's taken traveling that you really have to organize where your windows of time are if you're going to practice at all on tour.
Yes, and I'm going to be honest to you, like it's almost impossible to practice during the tours because you don't have time. You are always traveling, and during sound check, like the crew is working for making the show good,
Right.
for making the show happen. So you're not supposed to go there and practice.
Right.
That was something that I didn't know. So during the sound checks, I was just trying like to start to practice, and everybody was like, "Stop! What are you doing? Stop playing!" But that's the way that I taught that I could keep my technique on shape. Like always learning new things. But when you go on tour, everything changes because you are working. So you have to practice at home, and when you go on tour,
you have to be ready.
Be ready. That when you're going to show like to people what you have been studying for your whole life.
Right. Right. And do you bring a pad? Do you have any time to at least work your hands?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you get a little bit of time now.
I always have like a pad in my bag, practice pad, and also a bass drum pad, a double pedal.
Okay.
Yes, I'm always traveling with that. But here, like in the Slipknot gig, it's completely different. We have a jam room where I have like a electronic drum kit, and I can go there and I can practice the whole day. It's not a problem. But
that's the perfect world.
Oh yes.
But if you're not headlining major locations, arenas and festivals and all the other things that you guys do, that gives you that opportunity to kind of carve out space and resources. But with most gigs, it's just get to the gig and, like you said, take all the time off tour to practice. And when you get on tour, that's what the world will see.
Exactly.
It's kind of the fruits of your labor.
Yes. And also, when I did the first tours with Andre Matos, I had to set up my own drum kit. Oh, okay. We didn't have like a drum tech back there, So
you're touring and playing a lot of shows and good shows, but didn't even have a drum tech to start with.
No. The shows, like, they were not like incredible shows, incredibly big shows. We were like in Europe when we did the tour, we were opening for another band, a Germany band. And so we had to do everything by ourselves. I had to build my drum kit every night.
And double bass kit.
Double bass kit, yes. Because you have to keep the look,
Right.
You need to look good,
And after the Andre gig, you get with Sepultura.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So I was also playing with another bands in Brazil. I was playing with Andre Matos. I was playing with another new metal band. It was called Gloria. And I had like 5 or 6 different bands because I was trying to make my living through music, because sometimes Andre Matos, he would stop playing for 4 or 5 months and we had to do something else, So then I was playing with this band Gloria. It had a very good audience in Brazil. They were playing in big festivals, big venues, and we were invited to play at Rock in Rio 2011. That was the return of Rock in Rio to Brazil after like a break of 11, 15 years, I don't remember. So I remember that we played right after Sepultura. Because Sepultura was invited to play on the small stage because they were doing like a combination of different musicians. They had a band playing with some percussion, so they were like more a mix of different musicians. When the small stage was used to bring different artists to play together. And the main stage, it's where they keep like the bands playing their set. So that's why Gloria was invited to play at the big stage, but Sepultura, such a legendary band, playing the small stage.
I see, because it was more of a jam.
Exactly. There was like
Sepultura.
There was like a group of percussion from France that they traveled to play with Sepultura. Okay. So that was the stage for jamming, for experimentations.
Yeah.
So, but the fans, they didn't understand that, especially the metal fans. Like, how can a legendary band such as Sepultura play in a small stage and Gloria, a new band, play on the main stage. So when we were playing the show, all the crowd, they were against us. They were just trying to kill us, throwing things, throwing bottles. That was definitely one of the hardest shows of my life when you have to play against the audience.
Yeah, I'll say.
And the next day, all the medias, all the newspaper, TV programs, they were talking about that. Like, how can the festival put such a new band in the main stage and a big band, legendary band Sepultura on the small stage?
Because Rock in Rio clearly hadn't messaged to the audience what the plan was. So it just looked from an audience perspective, it just looked like hierarchy.
Exactly.
Who's bigger or better? It wasn't clear what was really going on. Is that it was different. It wasn't better or worse. It was here's one kind of approach, and then here's the finished sets.
Yes, exactly. And also they were trying to support a new metal band. Instead of supporting a very well-established band, they were giving the opportunity to some teenagers to go and play on the big stage. They were somehow they were investing into the metal music. That was super cool.
It was a positive thing, but it kind of backfired.
Exactly. And then we had to handle that, But the show itself was good. We are able to play everything that we wanted to play. I could do a drum solo in the middle of the set. And the next day, everybody was talking about that. They were talking, making comparisons between both of the shows. And that's how Sepultura saw me playing for the first time. They were like, okay, let's check it out, that band. Everybody was talking about us. So they watched the show the next day. And 2 weeks later, they invited me to do an audition because their previous band was just leaving the band.
Oh, their previous drummer.
The previous drummer.
Was just leaving the band.
Yes. Maybe Rock in Rio was his last show,
Oh, wow. So, and you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
So then you go and audition, essentially?
Exactly.
A couple weeks later, and that's it. You get the gig.
Yes, exactly.
And that was another huge turning point. Sepultura, arguably the most famous metal band from Brazil.
Yes, they are.
Most people would consider them that. They're certainly legendary. So now you're playing the biggest event. Obviously, Rock in Rio is a huge show, to say the least. But on a consistent basis with Sepultura, now you're playing big venues, big audiences all the time. How was that experience? What did you learn from it?
It was totally different from what I was doing before. I was playing more speed metal, nu metal, groove metal. Okay. And when I joined Sepultura, it's like thrash metal. It's way more intense to the acts that I was playing before. Okay. So I had to prepare my body again for a new chapter in my life. To prepare my body.
Adjust your drumming style.
Exactly. I had to change everything pretty much. The energy that I was used to play with the power, consistency, technique. I had to upgrade my technique to play all those songs. And everything changed. But I just had 2 weeks or 3 weeks to prepare myself for the first tour that the band did in Europe. And I remember the first show that I played with them was also chaotic. It was terrible, in my opinion. I didn't have a good show because I was so nervous to play with such a legendary band. And I didn't have enough time to prepare myself. And
you knew the songs, though.
I knew the songs, yes.
And it wasn't pacing this time, right? This time you'd already learned from all the other shows you had done without them, just as a working drummer, how to pace yourself.
Kind of, yeah, because I forgot that at the first show.
Okay.
I was so excited, and to be there with them. I was just like a teenager, 20 years old, 21 years old. Yeah. So I was so excited to be there with them that I totally forgot about saving energy. I just wanted to play well and to make them feel proud about me, to make them okay, we did a good decision about calling this kid, So, but I destroyed myself in the first show. I remember that I was like, oh, how am I gonna be able to do the whole tour playing with them? In some point, it came to my mind I don't think I'm ready to be with them, to play with them. I think I'm gonna have to talk after the show and just okay, that's not for me. That was something that came to my mind. Imagine that. So, but after,
you didn't.
No, I didn't. It's no, I'm gonna make it work. So from the second show and on, I was just trying to breathe before going on stage, to have more fun, playing the music, listen to the music, stop thinking about only the drumming aspect. And everything was good. Everything went good. So the band was
the
happy.
show itself, like your showmanship, that was also something that is elevated now because the band it's a bigger band and there's a show element to it that gets, it gets elevated every level of band that,
Oh, yes.
that anyone's in, right? That anybody sees as you get from clubs to theaters to arenas to sheds to stadiums. Like the show gets bigger and the showmanship gets more magnified.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so that's something that with Sepultura you're now also getting a lot more aware of, right? Because you're still so young. You're learning a lot of lessons all kind of at the same time.
Exactly. And it is a band with just 4 members. So on stage, you're like a big part of the show itself, so you have to make it happen. And I remember that was a difficult thing. And also the responsibility of replacing some other very good musicians. I had to replace Igor Cavalera and then Jean, very famous drummers, incredible drummers. So I had also that weight on my back to be there feeling those shoes. It's not an easy task. So
when I look at your youth, which, let's say up until 21 years old right now, you're still in Sepultura at this point. But I look at your youth, your career, your drumming journey, but your life's journey. When you look back, where does the mental strength come from to be able to be mature enough and strong enough at an age when most people just aren't even thinking about those things? I grew up similar to you in that I was playing since I was a kid, and I was thinking very adult kind of circumstances as a young person, and my parents helped me deal with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to. It would have been a big mess, quite frankly. You take a 13, 14, 16-year-old person, you put them in music business circumstances, drumming and performing and any kind of touring. And if you don't have the mental strength and you don't have the maturity at some level, then the rest of it goes with it. It all kind of goes away. So how'd you cope with it? Because you clearly did. You were able to persevere and you were able to deal with adult situations as a kid.
Oh, that's a very good question. It's a very intense question. Yeah, actually, I think the most important thing for me to keep my mind into the target was my need of playing an instrument, my need of I want to do this. I want to have fun. I want to just every day sit on my drum kit and be a different person. So that's my first need. That's the need that comes from inside of myself.
Urgency.
Urgency, exactly. That's my urgency.
It burning.
Yes, I want to play the drums. I want to, every day that I go on the show, on the stage, I want to be the best drum that I can be, and I can express myself the better way that I want, I can. So that was my biggest reason. Second one was that I didn't have a second chance. That was the only thing available for me to do.
No plan
at that
B.
point. No plan B. No plan B. That was the only thing that I had to do. And when I was a teenager and kid, my parents, they had a very good money condition. When I was around 16, 17, everything ruined in my family. My family business just broke, and my parents, they divorced. And so I had a breakdown in my family. So at some point, my mom looked at me and said, okay, now you have to work. You have to make things happen at home, So I didn't have any other choice. I had to work or work. And music was my choice. I didn't want to do anything else.
So it was survival.
Yes, it was some kind of survivor, So I had to grab all the opportunity with my 2 hands, with all my power, and just go for it. I didn't have a plan B.
And that became the North Star, because it sounds to me like whenever you were in circumstances that were super challenging and that most people would want to quit, even you yourself after the first Sepultura gig were looking in the mirror going, I got to tell these guys I'm the wrong guy.
Oh, yes.
Right? Even in the moments where you were being taken to the limit, it was that burning desire, that urgency, and that feeling of, it's like Rocky. I mean, you've ever seen the movie Rocky, right? The tagline of the movie is his whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot, right?
Exactly.
And he lived it that way. that he was gonna, when he got his million to one shot, he was gonna be a champion. And that's how you lived your youth growing up in drumming.
I don't know.
You weren't gonna quit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of, I don't know. The thing is, like once I read, from like I like to read, and I was reading like a book from a philosopher, and I don't remember who it was, but I was saying like the artist needs to live in such a needs to have like a need in his life, her life. The artist always needs to want something. So it can be like money, can be like need to evolve, need to change, to express. But if you don't have like any need, then you stay where you are right now. Mm-hmm. So we need to want something, So I always try to keep that in my mind. It's gonna be like the survival mode that I have to make some money to go to pay my bills, to don't starve, so I can buy food, I can pay my bills, Mm-hmm. Or I want to change myself, I want to change the way that I play my instrument. So we always need to live in some kind of need. That's really important. The purpose, yes, that's very important.
And so Sepultura leads to now here you are in Slipknot. So how did that occur? How did that transition happen?
Yeah, I played for 13 years with Sepultura. That was a long time, a long career with them. And I learned so much playing with them, such like great musicians, very good musicians. And we also had a very good relationship between us. And what happened that the band, Sepultura, they decided to quit. So then when like everything changed for me, because I was like, okay, the guys, they want to quit, they want to stop playing, right. But this wasn't my decision. That was their decision. So I had to take make a decision by myself. Right. So when it happened, it was the end of 2023. Jay, he left the band. 1 month later, it was like almost Christmas. The guys from Slipknot, they called me and asking me if I was available to do an audition for them, if I wanted to play in the band. And I said like, yes, because like Sepultura is going to stop, the band is going to finish, so I have to find another place to go.
Time for a next chapter.
I cannot stop right now. I'm not going to stop at 30 years old, you know, that's not a possibility.
Right.
So I went for an audition at the beginning of January.
And where did you audition? Was it in LA?
Palm Springs, okay. California, yes, Palm Springs. So I was there for 10 days in total, 5 days of rehearsals and 5 days of recordings. So, wow. 5 days.
That's more than an audition.
Yes,
that's an initiation.
Yes, it was like that, felt a little bit like that. But the guys, they wanted to see if I was able to play with them, to just play at the same vibe, to understand their music. Mm-hmm. And also like in the studio, if I was able to create new parts for the songs, to contribute somehow to their music. So it was a very complete test, like a complete audition. All the aspects, they were just checking everything.
10 days.
10 days.
Straight.
No, actually we had a break between because I had to play the NAMM show.
Oh.
Yes, I had like the Tama Festival, the anniversary, 50-year anniversary from Tama. I was playing with my instrumental project that I have with a guitar player in Brazil. So I had that booked even before the audition. So I had to stop the audition, but they knew about that before, So I had a break of 2 or 3 days. I went to LA, I played, and then I came back to keep the audition going. Yeah.
And had you been listening to Slipknot prior to this opportunity?
Yes.
Before they called, you were already a fan of the band, you already knew their music. What was your prior experience before this Palm Springs trip?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I used to listen to Slipknot since I was a kid. I remember watching MTV, the video clips, and I watched them. The first clip that I watched was Duality, and that changed the whole thing, these are a very good band, very cool band. Mm-hmm. They are all using masks. And the second thing that I watched was Joey Jordison drum solo when he goes on the elevator, right. And he's playing sideways, upside down.
It's iconic.
So that's super crazy. So imagine a kid seeing that. It's oh my God, that blew my mind when I saw it for the first time. And then I started like to listen to their whole discography. I was like buying the records and trying to go deep into their music, into their history. And then I was able to understand like the whole picture of the band, because it's a very intense band since the beginning, like they're very intense. They're like shows, the concerts, they are very powerful. There is like a reason for it, so I was trying to understand their reason to make it.
Did they give you a list of songs to learn for the audition?
Yes.
Okay, so you knew what you needed to prepare for.
Yes, they sent me a list of 32 songs, but they just sent me to me like 3 days before my trip to the audition.
Wow,
yeah,
32 songs.
Of course, I was at my studio learning the most that I could, even before that. But I was learning some songs that were not on the list.
Right.
So when they sent me the list, I had like 13 or 14 songs ready to go. So it was like half of it.
Right.
So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? But then I was learning like the most that I could on the next days until my trip to Palm Springs to the audition. And when I got there, I had like 22, 23 songs. So every day I was trying also to learn some songs before the
Did they
rehearsals.
throw any at you that you hadn't learned yet? They were,
yes.
Like the order that they went in wasn't the order you necessarily learned the songs in. Did that happen?
Yes, that happened. I remember that like on the second day, they asked me to play some songs that I didn't have the chance to learn before. So I came to them, it's like, oh, I don't know how to play these and these. Well, 2 songs on the set list. And they're like, you still have 1 hour for the rehearsal start. So I think you have like enough time to learn at least one of these songs. It's like, okay, I'm going to learn it. So I had like to learn the songs on the spot,
And you did?
I did my best, but they were very chill. Since the beginning, they were like very respectful with me, so they didn't want to rush anything. They said, oh, if you don't know all the songs, that's not a problem. We are going to play what you know, what you feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So they were very nice to me since the beginning.
Do you transcribe songs out when you're learning them? How do you
Yes.
How do you remember them and go through them so quickly?
Yes, I listen to them the most that I can, like just like in repeat mode, like for 2 or 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And also I like to have the charts, like the reading that I found like on the internet. And I also like to read when I'm listening, so I can like save the song, I can memorize the song through my ears and also through my eyes.
So you'll have the chart up as you're going through the songs.
Exactly.
You did that for all the songs
mostly,
that you could learn.
Mostly all of them,
And so what happens at the end of the 10 days, NAMM show in between, then you come back, record. Did they tell you right away that they were gonna ask you to join, or what happened next?
No, at the last day, I remember I was talking to Sean Crahan, the clown, and he was like, okay, I remember that I was flying back home on the next day, so that was the last day. It's like, dude, how it's gonna be? So I also spoke to the manager, and they were like, okay, let's wait, everybody go back home. Some guys, they live in Florida, in Iowa. I was supposed to go back to Brazil. So they were like, okay, let's wait for everybody to go back home. Let's wait like a couple of days so I can call them and ask if they are okay to have you in the band. So like, okay, no problem. So I went back home, like 3 days waiting, like, oh my God. So finally the manager, he called me and said like, okay, everybody gave you a yes, so we are good to go with you.
Right.
And that's how it happened.
What a moment.
Oh, yes. It was very special.
So now we're in February.
Yes, February.
24.
February 5th or 6th. I don't remember. Something like yes.
And then your first gig with them is in April.
Was on April. Yes, exactly.
Wow. So, and how did that first gig go? So this is the fourth first big gig of your career, right? Because I'm tracking, and we had the Modern Drummer Festival, then we had Andrea, then we had Sepultura, and now you have Slipknot. So what happens on that first show?
The first show was in a club called Pepe and Harris. It's in California.
And it's a club show.
It's a
so your
small
first
club.
show is not a big
Yes.
venue like they typically play. It was
That
like
was
an
something,
intimate club.
that was something that I was not expecting. You know, like, okay, I'm going to join Slipknot, so we're going to play in a huge stadium, a big arena. No, we're going to play for 200 people, you know. So, so that was different.
Which
And
is just as scary though, especially it's your first show.
exactly.
But it went well?
Yes, I felt really good playing that show. I had like some minor problems, minor mistakes, but it's how it goes, you know.
But the band was happy, clearly.
I think so. Hopefully they were happy and they're still happy with me.
And then the shows got bigger and you went to normal shows.
Yes. The difference between like my previous first shows with the Slipknot first show is that I was very prepared for the first show. We had enough time to rehearse a lot.
Oh, I see.
So I remember that on March, I went back to the US, so we spent another 5 days rehearsing, and then before the show, we had another 3 days of rehearsals as well. So I was just like, I was eating the drums for breakfast every day, you know?
Right.
And I was very prepared for that, for the situation.
So you could pace yourself as well.
Exactly.
It was just like playing what you rehearsed as opposed to a lot of pent-up energy and a lot of almost like first playing. Now it was almost second nature.
Yes, exactly. I was much more comfortable playing the songs. And I remember on the day of the show, all the band, the guys, they came to talk to me. And they said, like, there is no good, there is no bad, there is no wrong, there is no right. Just go there, have fun, stay in the vibe, play together. Just like, let's kill it, let's destroy it, you know? So they gave me a very good support, especially on that first day, the first show. That was very important to me.
So the band is known for masks, costumes, personalities. How did yours come about, and what's the story with your Slipknot costume?
Yeah, like the jumpsuit that I'm
and
using.
the number.
The number is like the 25 years anniversary of the band.
Okay.
That's the reason why, you know. I don't have a number in the band.
I see.
But I'm using the 25 because the anniversary tour that the band is doing right now. Okay. And the red color is just like to remember the first costume that they use it when they show up, when they came like the first time that they did a tour, they were using the red costume. So that's the reason why. It's only one piece, one jumpsuit, how it was since the beginning, you know. And the mask, there was something that I did with Sean. We designed it together, you know. So the first thing that he asked me at the beginning is like, can we have like a white mask for you? First thing, to bring back Joey's memory, you know, to like respect his legacy. I see. So that was the first point, like to bring his memory again. And so that's the reason why my mask is white. And we were thinking about some black lines. And I made a suggestion to have like these black lines like this to remember the Brazilian indigenous people. So it was all based into the masks that the indigenous people use or the paints that they do in their face, you know. So it brings with me the Brazilian people, the Brazilian culture, and Clown, he loves it. He really likes it. But my expression, my face expression, this was designed by Clown. He was watching me playing without the mask, and he said, like, that's the way you look when you're playing Slipknot music. So we're gonna put that in your mask. You know, so the expression, there was something that was a recommendation, inspiration from Clown. And after that, when we did like the lines, we felt like the design of the mask was not very balanced, you know, because we had like all the information from here, like below, but we didn't have anything on the forearm, the forehead. So like, what are we gonna do? Let's put like a circle in the forehead, but we didn't like it. So I came with the idea of the bullet hole in my forehead. The reason why is 2 years ago, I was robbed in São Paulo. I was walking on my neighborhood. Like it was 9 a.m. in the morning. I was going to the gym, and I had like my backpack with me, my phone, and two guys each one in a motorcycle. They stopped me and they put a gun in my head, and they asked me to give them my phone and my backpack. So that was something that somehow changed a lot of inside me. You know, when you have like a gun pointed to your head. You know, like I don't want to say like bad things about my country, because every place has like dangerous environments, you know, like they can be not good for you. But sometimes in São Paulo, it's not like a very safe place to be, you know. But that was the only time it happened to me. And unfortunately, there was a guy with a gun, and he decided to don't shoot. So I was lucky enough. Yeah. So
that inspired the bullet hole.
That's part a little bit. And also like from the philosophy that I like to read, gives me like the feeling of, you're going to like me, you're going to love what I do, you're going to hate what I do, but I have nothing to lose. I'm already dead. I have a bullet in my hole. So that's a way of feeling, it gives me some kind of freedom when I go on stage, you know? So it's very inspirational as well.
What's the biggest memory so far? I mean, as we tape this interview, it's, you know, you're in the band almost a year. So what's Slipknot story do you want to share that people will love to hear?
One thing that I was very concerned before like joining the band was about their intensity and about they're honest with music, you know, like they were like playing for real or not. Because sometimes we see like big artists, big bands, they're just playing there like just to make some money, to make some extra cash. Just like they don't really care about the fans. They don't really care about doing music. They are not intense anymore the way they used to be. But this is completely different with Slipknot. Since day one, I saw it. This was for real. This thing is for real.
They live, breathe, and eat what they profess.
Exactly.
Like they are Slipknot. They don't just play Slipknot.
No. Every day before we go on stage, it feels like it's our last show. And the guys, they go for it. You know, like they don't really care. We have like a talk before going on stage. We just share some words. We hug each other. And when we go on stage, it feels like a strong team.
A lot of energy.
A group, a lot of energy. So every time that you see Slipknot performing or doing new music, it's for real, you know? The band's just doing what they want to do. The band's doing like what they really wanted to do. So they're being honest to themselves and to the fans all the time.
Wow. So that's got to be enlightening to see a band at the top of its game who are legendary status that are playing like 16-year-olds that have to prove something and that have to play the best gig of their life or else. Like that level of caring and intensity, as you shared, you called it intense. It is intense. It's a good intense. It's great intense. But that's got to be inspiring for you to see that, you know, there are still bands that are out there just for the fans, for the music, for their message. And then whatever success comes along is just an end result that's just part of it. But the integrity of the intensity is what really brings the band to a place where their fans respond. Mm-hmm. Right? That's pretty inspiring.
And that's the reason why they still here nowadays. That's the reason why they became so big, because they are just being honest. You know, they are just doing what they like to do. You know, They talk about music every day. They love like to take care of their instruments, you know. Like sometimes when we have days off, we have dinner together, we go like to restaurants, whatever. They're just talking about music, talking like, oh, I just saw a guitar the other day here on the internet. It's a good guitar. What do you think about this one? Yeah. You know, so they really like what they do, and they're being honest to everybody.
Yeah, they're living it and loving it.
Yes, exactly.
Well, what's next? What's next, Eloy? More Slipknot touring,
next,
new album. What's on the horizon?
Next, we're going to have dinner. It's almost dinner time, so...
how about bigger picture? How about next year?
I don't know yet. I don't know how it's going to be. But what I can tell you for now is that we are always writing. We are always like cooking new music for the fans and for the band. So we have like a jam room that travel with us. So every day we go there, we play like a while and we record everything that we do so we can use that maybe like in the future. So we are always into the mood of doing new things. So the band never stops. We are always cooking. I don't know when like the new songs they're gonna come out. Right. I cannot tell you right now.
But there's always a creation going on.
Exactly.
And touring is part of Slipknot's DNA. So we'll see you out on the road. And
Yeah, next year we're gonna start in Australia, New Zealand, and then we might have an Asian tour. Then we're gonna do Europe the middle of the year, and who knows, like the rest. But we are always working. We never stop.
do you do drum clinics anymore?
No, right now I'm not doing drum clinics anymore because I'm waiting until like we release some new material with Slipknot, so I have something to present to the audience. Instead of just going there and playing my old things, my old music that I respect a lot. I still love what I did in the past, but if like the future, if I do some other drum clinics, I just want to show new things. That's really important to me. I have to show them the present moment and not the past.
And what
because
about your
because
instrumental?
I'm living for the present and for the future. The past is the past. Yeah.
So if you can't bring something new, then you'd rather just let what you've already presented be there because that's already been done.
Exactly.
And what about your instrumental band?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how it's going to be.
It's on pause right now.
Yeah, it's on pause right now as well. It's like, I don't know. Let's see. But I still talk with Hannes. His name is Hannes. He's a guitar player from Brazil, incredible musician, super musical with everything that he plays. But maybe in the future, we're going to have some new music. I know that we have a lot of demos that are just some ideas that we recorded in the past, and we didn't have the chance to record them properly. So yeah, someday
there's a
we're gonna
lot there.
listen. Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Well, Eloy Casagrande, thank you for being here today. It's great
My
to
pleasure.
see you.
Thank you once again for having me.
Congratulations on all the incredible success. And of course, we wish you continued success. Modern Drummer, I'm David Frangioni. You'll see Eloy out on tour with Slipknot and everywhere else. And I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, please. And you're the best part of our community. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time.